Tonight's topic is about skiing in the San Juan Mountains. The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad was kind enough to sponsor tonight's event. We appreciate the train for the sponsorship. This event really isn't possible ongoing without those local sponsors. Dolph Kuss, who's taught thousands of people how to ski and coached 2 U.S. Olympic ski teams. Kuss is co-founder of Outdoor Pursuits and helped develop Chapman Hill and Purgatory Resort. He was inducted into the Colorado Skier Hall of Fame in 1990. Fort Lewis College is celebrating the Outdoor Pursuits 40th anniversary this weekend, which includes a Dolph Kuss ski day Saturday at Purgatory Resort.
Lots of fun stories. I guess I can certainly add to what the 3 of my associates here have talked about. I'm going to go back to my first 10 years in Durango from 1955 to 1965. When I arrived in Durango, I was employed by the La Plata County Recreation Commission. And that commission included Nancy Elliott, Katie Johns. She was at that time with the Chamber of Commerce. Jim Nolan, who happened to be the district judge. Fred Amy, a local lawyer. And Walter Osterhout. And this program was funded by the city and the county, and we had support of the schools in kind. In other words, we could use all of the school facilities, the gymnasiums, and whatever else they had in terms of equipment and so forth, buses for transportation and whatnot. Well, of course, at that time we didn't have sales tax, so we didn't really get very much money from the city or the county. The county was certainly always reluctant to up the ante. They were still getting acquainted with the recreation concept. That was a little difficult. So, anyway, my mission was to create programs for young people in the city and county. And of course, I started out with the winter at 3rd Avenue. That was then changed to Calico Hill by my predecessor, Leon Burrows. And then finally named Chapman Hill. Well, the lift, as Jack described and was shown there, that was at Chipmunk Hill. It had that frayed cable, and it only went up the hill about 50 yards. And it was so dangerous that even without the tramway board, I couldn't allow that to exist. So my previous experience in Leadville and Gunnison and Crested Butte, I knew about this lift at Camp Hale. And so I let that be known that I could find this lift and bring it back to Durango. So there was a fellow in town, Johnny Parsons, who ran Wayside Drive-In. It was at the corner of 8th Avenue and 6th Street. I think it's Kangaroo Express right at the present time. Anyway, he got the Rotary Club to raise $1,000 and I was amazed at how fast they raised that. And I have to say that I had so much community support, and probably the reason for that is that I had unlimited support from the Durango Herald, Morley, and Arthur Ballantyne. They were exceptional in terms of getting the message out to the community, and also the radio station KIUP and the manager then, Pat O'Brien. They just helped me so much along the way. So anyway, we purchased the lift and brought it to town, and the whole community just turned out to erect that lift and finish what Colton Chapman had started, a little warming hut that was at the time called the Chapman House. You know, whatever we needed, we didn't have to spend money for, it seemed, because people just came out of the woodwork, and Carpenters Union and John Ferguson from Telluride Iron Works installed all of the motor and redid the drive unit. It was really a community effort. And the reason that we were doing that is to create a little more space for skiing. And as Jack indicated, people didn't turn. So after we installed the lift and got things going, I started some instruction programs for the children, and the season pass at 3rd Avenue was $1, and the instruction was free. I taught a lot of ski lessons during that time, and I think there are probably a lot of you among the crowd here that learned to ski in that earlier program. I thought that we probably added about 300 new skiers a year at 3rd Avenue. It was the only ski area in town, and it wasn't operated commercially. It was a recreation facility that the Recreation Commission felt we should be providing recreation, not offering recreation. So we kept everything to a minimum as far as expense was concerned, and obviously we created a lot of participation because everyone could participate. We also had cross-country ski classes at the college on the golf course, and the golf course at that time was right where a lot of the buildings are right now. They moved the golf course, so we lost our cross-country ski area for a while until they got reorganized at the new golf course. But we were very successful in teaching children how to ski cross-country and how to turn both ways, and we had an excellent ski club that supported our competitive programs, and we had an alpine skiing program, boys and girls, and we'd compete in Los Alamos and other places in New Mexico, Taos and Santa Fe Basin. And whenever we would go up north in the Front Range, they were about 10 years ahead of us in terms of competitive skiing. So it was really difficult. Sometimes I had to ski down alongside of the girls. At Aspen, the downhills were so scary that they'd cry all the way down. It was really, really tough. And then the cross-country skiing with the boys. The girls didn't have the ability to compete in cross-country skiing because there were no competitions for girls at that time. So I had only boys in cross-country, and they really excelled. Because they excelled, they made me look good, and I got appointed to coach the 1964 Olympic team. At the same time, the county decided that they were going to abandon the recreation program, and they left the city holding the bag, so to speak. So it took them a little while to get things reorganized, but they did. Yeah, the program pretty much continued. There was a little bit of a gap in leadership because everything we did in terms of competitive activities was volunteer. So we had to find volunteer coaches and keep the program going. In fact, the whole recreation program I was the only paid person, and all of the other programs were taught and managed by volunteers. So it was really a community recreation program. And we provided a lot of really good programs for the children, and that was our mission. So we accomplished those things. You know, after 1965, when we developed the Purgatory ski area, things pretty much changed in terms of competition and programs, and I was fortunate to find a job at Fort Lewis College, and was engaged in developing programs there. It was a new college, and we had a wonderful president, John Reed, and he came from Dartmouth College, and he knew the environment could be utilized, and he and my boss, Don Whalen, gave me the reins and let me develop a program that was really a lot of fun. In fact, they called me the professor of fun. Yeah, so anyway, we had at that time a wonderful recreation program, a story about Hesperus, a ski area. The Hare brothers, Wilbur, Bill, and Glenn, boy, those guys from Bloomfield, New Mexico, and boy, they were talented. Each one had a specific talent, and they developed that little ski area, and they would always tell me how they would come and look through the window at the motor house to see how we drove the rope tow at Chapman Hill. And because they thought that I wouldn't let them look because they were going to beat me out of some business. But anyway, we ended up really getting along well, and they supported all of our programs, school programs, college program. We developed a cross-country track there, and as a matter of fact, had the National Cross-Country Championships. The Durango Ski Club hosted national championships there. So And then there was another ski area in the San Juan Basin that operated for a time. We used to sneak over there once in a while, and that was Stoner, and it was operated by a ski club in Cortez. The Slavens there were the prime movers, and their son was a outstanding alpine skier, skied for the Colorado University and whatnot. But I think when the Colorado Tramway Board came into being, there were so many restrictions that that small club could not manage to operate that lift for a ski club, and of course they didn't have the kind of attendance that would make it a commercial ski operation. So they didn't operate a few years after the Colorado Tramway Board came into business. And that, I think, is probably most of the ski areas during that 10-year time, and Purgatory developed, and I always like to think that Chapman Hill, 3rd Avenue was the seed that built Purgatory. The community continued the next 40 years to support skiing at the college, and I was the recipient of that support. That's it. Thank you.